to our another session, discussion, which I have the honor to moderate. My name is Michal Duška. I represent the Prague-based think tank Association for International Affairs, or AMO, and we are supposed to talk about trade and market integration in the time of war. So I will briefly introduce our distinguished speakers, who are Anna Lubima, Director of the International Department in Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Peter Čajka from Slovakia, who is a professor at Matej Bell University in Banská Bystrica. So when we are talking about trade and about the market integration, this is actually a process that's been going on for some time, especially after signing of the association agreement between Ukraine and the EU back in 2014. The association agreement, and most importantly the DCFTA, the Deep and Comprehensive Free Trade Agreement, came fully into force in 2017, and since then the relations between Ukraine and the EU are basically in the framework of this agreement. There were in the effect of this and of course of the war started in 2014. The EU became the most important, the largest trade partner for Ukraine. There were further changes after February 24th last year. That's the full-scale invasion of Russia brought further trade liberalization, but this brought also some problem, which manifested itself most notably in the agricultural sector. We've seen it on the ban of exports of some agricultural products to the EU, and it has been a heated topic in some countries. We can mention, for example, Poland, which where there have been elections recently, and this has been a huge topic in the election campaign. Actually, not only for the present, still current government, but also for the opposition, which accused the government for insufficient protection of Polish farmers. So this is quite a big problem. Also, we are seeing conflicts such as blockades of the border crossing between Poland and Ukraine, and many more. So we can see that the situation also brought some challenges for both Ukraine, the neighboring countries, and the EU as a whole. Well, because the agriculture crisis is such a heated topic, we would like perhaps start with this one, and we will start with Mr. Čajka, with the Slovak perspective on this conflict, because Slovakia is one of the countries that joined the ban on exports of Ukrainian agricultural products. As I understand, you've got a presentation, so you can proceed.
Thank you very much. So the colleague said that I will describe our experiences, like the Slovak Republic in transformation process in agriculture, maybe some recommendation for the future, maybe common future in EU due to the common agriculture policy, and maybe some topics for the accommodation from the other countries, not only for Ukraine. Maybe some topics we could find, but also maybe for the other countries which we are thinking about the enlargement of the European Union. I will ask you for a presentation. Maybe I will start it with the first panel yesterday, because Mr. Shushko advised that moment of the kind of the agricultural integration or phenomenon between the Poland and Ukraine, and same time the emphasis the important position of agriculture in Ukraine economy. And also I think it was in the second panel there was a discussion about the importance of the country in the connection with the transit of cereals, in particular through the namely the Central European countries, and the position of Slovakia in this area is mainly. So I will start it maybe in 3 areas. The first area of my view is how the Slovak government is focusing on this problem, and namely the crisis, the great crisis in the last few months. It's mean that I will show you the position of our government. Of course, we now have a new government, so I will show you the position of the previous government. The second area will be our position in Slovakia during the 20 years of the EU member state, and with connection to using subsidies from the EU funds from the common agriculture policy. And the last one will be several like points for the recommendation for the future, like for Slovakia, and then maybe for the other countries. So, regarding to the preservation of food security, Slovakia has been actively supporting Ukraine since the beginning of the large-scale Russian aggression in February 24, including the export of crops, road and rail, and the development of multimodal and intermodal shipping. The military conflict in Ukraine had and still has a significant impact on agriculture producing and also the transit. Above all, the surrounding states were most affected by this development. On this graph, you can see the imports of cereals from Ukraine into frontline member states during the period of the war. It's mean we have the data there from March 2022 to I think it's April on this year. Farmers in member states near Ukraine express their concerns about the effect of increased imports of Ukraine cereals and oilseeds on local markets due to logistical obstacles. When increased domestic production coincided with increased imports from Ukraine, this resulted in our supply to the market. These abundant supplies of cereals and oilseeds have put considerable pressure on local markets, local farmers, in terms of price, storage options, and also rising transport costs. It also led to decrease in sale on the market. The European Commission, due to this conflict, subsequently adopted measures with 100 million euro in spring 2023, which supposed to prevent negative economic impact. This support was needed to help member states neighboring Ukraine to partially compensate for problems related to logistical obstacles due to the import of certain agri-food products from Ukraine. The position of the Slovak government was clear, as the war in Ukraine and the blocking of export roads through the Black Sea threatened the Slovak market with cheap imports of Ukraine's grain and put our farmers at disadvantage. The Slovak government therefore considered it crucial to find a joint solution between Slovakia and the European Union related to the war in Ukraine, with the aim of protecting the Slovak market with agricultural commodities, also the health of the citizens, mitigating negative consequences of food inflation. On September 16, 2023, former previous Slovak government decided to unilaterally renew the ban on the import of selected agricultural products, 4 products: wheat, corn, rapeseed, and sunflower seeds from Ukraine to Slovakia. The aim of this ban was to protect our producers. At the end of the September, it's been after the 2 weeks, Bratislava Kiev agreed to create a grain trading system based on issuing and controlling licenses. Immediately after its launch, the ban on the import of these 4 commodities from Ukraine was lifted. Sensitivity and seriousness of this whole problem is related to the overall sensitivity and seriousness of the common agriculture policy in Europe. Funds in the amount is 387 billion euro, what mean 36% of total EU budget. The biggest budget is the budget of cohesion policy. It's around 37% of EU budget. This budget has been allocated to the CAP for the period 21-27. Despite the fact that the CAP went through various developments, during which farmers from the new EU member states, it means the states' enlargement in 2004, were discriminated against in direct payments, we can state that the entry of Slovakia also means significant progress within the CAP. The use of subsidies within the CAP increased to overall support for agriculture compared to the level before Slovakia joined to European Union in 2004. Economic situation of agriculture enterprises has improved, labor productivity has increased, although often at the expense of reducing the workforce. Even in this, in period 21-27, Slovakia will not achieve full external convergence as we expect already in 2014. Support per hectare of agricultural land is still lower than the average of EU member countries. What did the accession to the European Union bring for us, for Slovakia? Slovakia accession into the European Union brought new opportunities for the Slovak Republic, especially with regard to the export of domestic products abroad, obtaining subsidies from EU funds, work abroad, but also problems with the economy of production and also the weaker competitiveness of Slovak products. Also, all this was manifested in the limitation of agriculture production with an impact of employment. Between 2004-2017, we can see in the graph, agriculture saw more than 50% decrease in employees. Since Slovakia joined to the European Union, year-on-year decrease in the number of employers has slowed down. Over the last 10 years, there has been a decrease in the number of workers in Slovakia agriculture in all job positions. Decline in the labor force was more intensive in the newly admitted states than in the original states, it means old EU15. On the other hand, it should be noted that the new member states have a higher share of agriculture in GDP, but also employment. In the original EU15, the employment rate in agriculture was roughly 3%, while in the newly admitted states, it was around 15%. The development of employment in Slovakia's agriculture is in the line with the structural changes that are taking place in other EU countries as well. The trend of reducing the number of the labor force in agriculture is recorded in all EU countries. I will show in this graph the development of number of employments from 2004, but if we compare this number of employees in agriculture with the year 1989, in 1989, it was 351,000 the workers in agri-sector. It means now it is the 1/7 with this number compared with the end of the 80s. How or which challenges we can find, maybe with our experiences with these 20 years in European Union and with using funds from the CAP. I will show you maybe several points, topics like the recommendation from the Slovak experiences for not only for the Ukraine but also for the other countries which are in the path to the entry in the European Union. The first point which I could identify is internal population migration and the rural depopulation. Is currently we see that this increasing rate of migration from rural to urban areas is typical in the world. But there is the problem with the capacity of jobs in cities and significantly exceeds the capacity of industrial and urban social services to effectively absorb new residents. In Slovakia, we have the big problem with this internal workforce migration, which is namely to the western regions in Slovakia, which open very big regional disparities, and still we see that like this disparities is still behind and higher, and we have a problem with these depopulated regions, namely in eastern and south region in Slovakia. What will bring the many other problems for the future, not only in connected with agriculture, but the whole problem with economy, like in these pure or less developed regions, but also with the region which now rise. The second point, maybe it could be loss of the agricultural land. The loss of the agricultural land is related to unregular market investment in land. Since the purpose of housing and industry are the two most common reasons for losing agricultural land in Slovakia. Maybe the other or third one is food safety. If we compare this with the period before 1989, Czechoslovak agriculture was one of the most advanced in Europe and was considered one of the largest export of raw agricultures or raw materials. This state was able to cover the requirements of domestic consumers for food production for food production without any major problems. However, today our agriculture is one of the less able to ensure the nutrition of the domestic population. The rate of food self-sufficiency in Slovakia is currently less than 40%. It's around 37%. If we compare with the Western countries, Germany, Austria, French, Netherlands, there it is around 85%. And this situation, this level of percentage is still like falling down in Slovakia. Maybe the other problem for the future is the future development strategy of the EU. Agriculture ministers have expressed the options that the future CAP subsidies could be used for steps towards carbon neutrality, including by motivating farmers to use the green production methods. Very big problems, I think that these problems of society, all European society, the problems was discussed the last panel, is aging. Aging of structure of workers in agriculture. The aging is a problem like generally. During the last 20 years, in the countries in Central and Eastern Europe, maybe 30 years in the Western European countries, we see aging the population, which is connected with low fertility. The average European fertility now is around 1.55. Necessary for each country is 2.1. The worst situation is especially in Slovakia, Poland, where this size maybe in Czech, where this number is less than 1.5. It's around 1.4. But 5-6 years ago, it was in Slovakia 1.25. This will bring a lot of the other problems, but if we look at the problems with agriculture, generational renewal is one of the main goals of the reform of the CAP policy. Just after the revolution, the average age of agriculture workers in Slovakia was approximately 40 years. After the 30 years, now it is approaching 50 years. What are the reasons of this situation? In Slovakia, there is the several reasons. The first could be more difficult access to land, which is hampered by strict rules for not acquiring land and a huge fragmentation of land ownership in Slovakia. Another cause is the education. When agriculture education work is often not available or does not meet the required quality of conditions. The other problem in Slovakia is access to finance, when namely young farmers have increased costs at the start of their business and their returns are lower. In the case of Slovak Republic, we have one of the lowest shares of support for young farmers in the total number of the applicants for EU subsidies. The other problem or for the future is innovative future of agriculture. Agriculture is industry affected by the many factors of challenges. The challenges highlight to urgent need for innovation, especially in improved competitiveness and sustainability of markets. Above all, young farmers bring new and innovative technologies and approaches to sector in this regard. Compared to older farmers, they are also better professional prepared. And the last one, what I want to say is enlargement of European Union. Like I said, this recommendation, maybe the recommendation is not only for the Ukraine with our experience during the last 20 years, but maybe I see these recommendations for the other countries, namely with the process of enlargement with the countries in the Western Balkans. Ukraine, of course, Moldova, and yesterday we were talking about Georgia. All these candidate countries are characterized by a very strong dependence on agriculture, which will have a fundamental impact on the CAP itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation and for sharing with us the problems and challenges that are lying before Slovakia. And those are also very relevant to Ukraine as well. So I will now pass thread to Anna Lubima. So if you can share with us Ukraine perspective, and you concentrate mostly on the support of exports. So if you can tell a bit about the problems that the Ukrainian exporters are facing at the moment, and what does this conflict mean for the exports from Ukraine, and in the perspective, what can bring it to Ukraine? What can we learn from that?
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency Ambassador. First of all, I'd like to express gratitude for inviting us to take part in this conference, and also to express gratitude for our European partners. And I like the topic of our panel session and discussion, trade solidarity and market integration, because thanks to the support of our European partners, we are officially candidate members to the European Union, and for Ukraine's clear position, we have already chosen this track for Euro integration. And thanks to all the permissions, free visa regime and free visa custom and transit for Ukrainian products through European Union, we still survive, and our Ukrainian economy continue to develop. Yes, sure, that is injured, but not destroyed. And I'd like to mention that 80% of our members of UCCR, and as more than 85% of Ukrainian legal entities, we still continue operating and try to find new markets. And that is a process not only of Euro integration, but also internationalization and globalization. And I'd like to reflect to the speech of my colleague in concerning agriculture. Because before we started, I'd like to remind these figures. Ukraine was responsible for 50% of sunflower oil in the world, 70% of barley, 14% of corn, and that is the issue of food security. It is not only the issue of Ukrainian economy and question about taxes for our Ukrainian budget to continue fighting with the aggressor. No, that is also the issue of our responsibility for food security in the world. And what we have now, unfortunately, the most sensitive and difficult topic for our exporters, that is logistic. Before we started, we had 18 seaports, and these seaports were responsible for 70% of all our deliverings. 70% is like total year, and 90% of export of agricultural products. And now we have just two ways of delivering and export our products. That is cargo tracks and railway. Unfortunately, we all know about the problem in difference with railway tracks that do not allow us for fast export by railway. But it's still possible. And at the beginning of the war, we unfortunately had even for 40 wagons line near the border. If you talk about cargo tracks, that is additional complicated issues, and I think everyone can believe that it is not a good idea to stay for 1 month permanently for the drivers near the border, permanently driving because of the line, because of the keys near the border. What we have now, unfortunately, just 2 or 3 months ago, we together with different Ukrainian business associations and also with Polish associations and business unities talk about like pilot project to open joint cross-border point for example, cross-border point. And we have had a statement about that it's important to try, that it will foster international trade and economy. And nowadays, just from the 6th of November, our 3 cross-border points with Poland blocked, and we try to solve this issue. From our side, like a business community, now we try to investigate and make a marketing research, like such analytical work to show how beneficial is export of Ukrainian products to Poland. Because that is an issue for seaports, that is an issue for Polish industries, because we all know about joint projects and that Ukrainian companies have already invested in opening new factories, new companies in Poland. So we do not like to make new conflicts or something like that. No, we just like to show that that is beneficial to export from for Ukrainians export their agricultural products through Poland or to cooperate with Polish companies. And unfortunately, we cannot like make this step back. We cannot decline the permission for transit for our export products. That is the decision of European Union. That is that effort that we have already done, and we are moving toward European Union. We are moving forward Euro integration. That is not possible to just refuse or decline the possibilities. And if you talk about agriculture, unfortunately, we have Ukraine now is the most polluted country by mines. A very important issue that is demining, because our agricultural lands, that is an issue of humanitarian demining. And even despite the war, even despite these sensitive issues of demining, and also you talk about aging in the agriculture sphere, we have additional issue in this social topic, that is mobilization of our, for example, tractor drivers. Unfortunately, that is real problem, and we have addressed by different Ukrainian companies how to solve these issues, how to continue production, how to continue harvesting, and so on. And even despite all these difficulties, for this year, our harvest have already increased, and that is additional issue how to export this amount of harvest. That is why we are thinking about products with added value. That is additional issue for discussion, and that is an issue of investment and different models of international trade. Because nowadays it is difficult to talk just about export, import. We should talk about also joint ventures, about subcontracting, and even if we change the topic from agriculture to rebuilding, there are different requests from foreign companies, from Ukrainian companies, how to organize this process, how to succeed in realizing these projects that have already announced and will be announced, because we have different plans, short-term and long-term. And subcontracting is one of the ways how to solve these issues. Also, additional model of export international trade that is works through agent or distributors, and the direct access to clients, so marketplaces. That is became popular during the war. A lot of Ukrainian companies, that is small and medium enterprises, tried themselves in trading on marketplaces. So I changed the topic from agriculture to such interesting topic like a model of international trade. But also I'd like to mention about instruments of supporting our Ukrainian exporters, because as you told me, as you told it at the beginning, we are more export-oriented organization, and our main aim and direction is supporting of our Ukrainian entrepreneurs. At UCCI, we have export support centers. We also try to teach our Ukrainian companies how to create this export profile. We talk about technical compliance. That is important for harmonizing our legislation with the European Union. Also, we try to explain that it's important to have analysis for export readiness of the company, marketing research, and then export strategy. Because sometimes people think that I'll find some proper client or partner abroad, and then everything will be fine. No, that is a complicated process. We try to explain that export is easy, but it is responsible issue. That is why we also try to inform about possible instruments of supporting exporters. You know about relocation process in Ukraine, and there were a lot of programs how to get additional financial instruments, how to relocate equipment, also how to even to relocate their companies not only to western part of Ukraine that is more safety than near front line, but also abroad, as I told you about investment to Poland and our neighboring countries, because Ukrainians like to continue their activities and even scale their international trade. So I think for now I'll finish, but I'm ready to answer this question.
Thank you very much. Well, maybe let's have a look on a bit on some future prospects for Ukraine, which I think is a very important topic, especially as we've already mentioned. We are hopefully Ukraine will start negotiation on the EU membership soon, and this will be really crucial for Ukraine. So maybe let's start with Mr. Cheka, because Slovakia is very an interesting example at the moment. We have a new government in Slovakia, so maybe if you can share with us a few ideas, if you have any guess how the new government will look like in this respect, because we know that the new Prime Minister, Mr. Fico, he was campaigning on some really strong pro-Russian rhetorics, and so how it can affect how those conflicts between Slovakia and Ukraine, what can it mean for the new government, and how can the new government let's say affect the future negotiations of Ukraine?
Thank you very much. Hard to answer, because we have a new government, but still like non-official, because still hasn't support from the parliament. If I look in previous government, I was mentoring it that what was our position with this. The main problem was to protect our producers, our agriculture, and I don't know what can we how will be the our position or the path with agriculture policy, but maybe I will mention it several aspects with what we will confronted in the several months before. We had the problem with European Commission, with our agricultural paying agency, which share these subsidies from the EU funds to our farmers. Commission took the agency's accreditation because it is necessary if our national agency distribute the funds and money to farmers to have accreditations. It was several months, and the reason was suspicion of corruption. I think that it was the previous government which was successful with commission, and our agency now still has this accreditation, and then could support our farmers. Maybe it is like the one recommendation, like the political recommendation, to have like a professional agency for the future without any these problems like in Slovak experiences due to problem of corruption. The second is, like I said, we can compare with Ukraine, the territory of the both countries, the much more importance agriculture in Ukraine compare with the Slovakia. Maybe our experiences could be namely with the Balkans, Western Balkans countries, because they are much more compare with Slovakia, with territory scale, maybe with the experiences, and maybe with the character of agriculture. For the future, maybe what I see is the changing agriculture, about what our agriculture experts talking is due to the result of climate changes, what will bring the changes in crop cultivation, and now is talking about this, how to change the crops in Slovakia. Maybe the other problems also maybe a recommendation is the problem of losing the agricultural land. I give you one example. I said that the western Slovakia, western regions in Slovakia are the economic core, and then during the last 20 years are concentrated their all economic activities, growing the industries, the industry zones. It means that we are losing this fertilized soil for this industrial development. And one specific example is with the Bratislava region. The Bratislava and surrounding regions had the big growth of population during the last 20 years due to this economic growth of Slovakia. We lost specifically in Bratislava vineyards, which were changed to residential areas, and during the last 30 years we lost 50% of these vineyards, namely in the region of western Slovakia, around the Bratislava region, and all the cities and villages under the Small Carpathia mountains, which were typical vineyards, which was typical vineyards region. So this is the other problems. Maybe the with the climate changes, with the quality of soils, we can talking in Slovakia about the pollution of soil and degradation of soil, namely in these core agriculture regions in western Slovakia. It is trend for the future, about we know, and necessary is now like the changing our agricultural character, and namely, like I said, the crops cultivation in our lowlands in Western Slovakia.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll pass the word to
Thank you.
Anna for a second. We are talking about the EU enlargement potentially, and as we said, the hopefully the negotiations. So if you can address briefly, what does it mean for Ukrainian exporters? Where are the opportunities, but also some lessons learned from the conflicts we've seen in the past months, and also some possible threats for Ukraine from this process.
Gary, thank you so much. If you allow me, I'll answer to two questions previous and this one. So about enlargement and perspective for Ukraine to be a member of the European Union, I think that is essentially and really vital for not only Ukrainian exporters but all Ukrainian society. I think we are Europeans originally, and that is not a question. But if you talk about enlargement process, Ukraine have already done a lot, and still like it's an ongoing process of to adapt our Ukrainian legislation to the EU legislation. Also, we understand that is a huge work to be done in the future. Also, for the exporters, that is really challenging, but from another side, that is opportunities to not only to galvanize their production and some certificates, legislation, and so on. That is also new markets. We understand that it's single market, and the procedure is it's understandable for Ukrainian companies to understand the single market, to adapt all the certificates, to understand technical compliance, and to be ready for the next steps of export procedure. I think that for the future, it will be just a single market with Ukraine, and that is just a question of time. So if we talk about our exporters for now, that is their homework for the future to be present on Ukrainian market. If we talk about perspective of such nearest future. If we talk about previous question about Ukrainian perspectives, I'd like also to address to some figures briefly of our export results for 2023. For these 8 months of 2023, our export amounted to more than 25 billion US dollars, but unfortunately that is 15% less than previous year, the same period of 8 months, and that is 41% less than compared to 2021 before full-scale invasion. And the geography of our export have already changed. If we talk about the period before full-scale invasion, our main export and import partner was China. And that is a question also about nowadays China ranks the third in geographical database. And Turkish Republic ranked the fourth place for the result of 8 months. The first place ranked Poland, and the second Romania. But if to compare the export of agricultural products, we can notice another dynamic, because the export to Poland fell down to more than 25%. But if you talk about Romania, the export increased in plus 20%. So we understand that there are some tendencies in export activities for Ukraine, and also about structure of our export. For nowadays, 25% of our exports, that is for grain, 15% that is for oils, sunflower oils and oil seeds, and then in other categories. Unfortunately, the most industry that suffered the most, that is metallurgical industry, that fell down to 40%. And also we understand that that is also the issue of our economic security, but we should, it's our homework how to solve this issue. Also, if you talk about fertilizers, that is also an interesting topic, because that is fell down to 100%. And when the war started, it was prohibited for Ukrainian exporters to export fertilizers. Thanks to, fortunately, we have black soil that is really fertile. But nowadays we have our export structure have already changed. If you talk about export of products with added value, we have plus 100%. That is twice times more export of confectionery products to the European Union. That is why we try to understand, to analyze how to attract attention for our Ukrainian companies to invest in their processing industries, not to export just raw materials, but to invest in production. That is also, when we talk about investment, about war insurance, sure, we understand, but we also try to manage this process, to explain how it works, what instruments we have. Surely with the support of World Bank Group, multilateral investment guarantee agencies that have already launched 40 projects nowadays in Ukraine. Also, we know about some private projects, not private, but additional programs on state level from Germany, France, and other countries who have already ensured export contracts and some investments. Also, I'd like to mention that important issue about our future, that nowadays Ukraine is an innovative country, and the export of IT services every year increases. We have different spheres of tech. This part of the word tech, agri-tech, military tech. So in each sector we have innovations and innovative approach. When the war started, I was with delegation at agricultural exhibition with agri-tech exhibition, and Ukraine presented projects for underground storages with ultralight and also with scrapping drones, with so different interesting decisions for agricultural sphere. We have a lot of decisions, and we are ready to propose it for our international partners and European community also.
Thank you very much. So I would like to open to go to the questions from the audience. So if you have any questions on what would you like to ask our speakers, so you are free to ask at the moment. Yep, there's. Yeah, if you can just wait a second for a microphone.
Thank you. It's a question about the SME sector, and in particular the MSME sector. Very, very populous in Ukraine and Moldova and Georgia as well. But at the same time, they tend to be producing goods which are low in value. They're a big employer. So there seemed to be a kind of missing part of the dynamic in terms of getting Ukraine to meet the potential of DCFTA. What more could be done to support MSMEs in Ukraine?
I think that is a question for me. Thank you for such important questions, because SME, that is a core of our economy. And to be honest, SME is 80%, no, 80% of our members. And that is our day-to-day dialogue with such companies, how to support them. The biggest problem for them, that is the absence or limitation of financial instrument. But nowadays, there are different projects. For example, with GRZ, we have already realized such project to teach our exporters about our export activities. Also, USAID programs for requalifications and relocation, and some other supporting programs for such companies who represent small and medium enterprises. Additional question from their side to such business communities or to government, that is an instrument of searching partners abroad, if you talk about export activities. In this case, we also try to negotiate with our international partners, with International Chamber of Commerce, with we have also representatives of UCCI abroad who support our Ukrainian companies in their export activities. And also there are some governmental projects. For example, our Ministry of Economy have already launched programs for support programs to create more working places in Ukraine. That is also additional financial instrument. We have Export Credit Agency in Ukraine, and the activities have already relaunched from the beginning of the war. They have already ensured big export contracts in Ukraine, and that allows our Ukrainian small companies who'd like to export to have this insurance, and with the support of different banks, realize this export contracts. So to have this financing in advance to produce and then export. I think everyone understand how it works. Also, every time we try to monitor the business environment of Ukraine. Now we have already launched the project with UNDP Business Barometer, to understand the general attitude and problems of SME and how to solve it. So we try to create this dialogue between companies, SME, and our government, and business communities in Ukraine. And we also communicated with business associations and communities abroad to understand how we can support small and medium enterprises in Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yep, please.
So a question to Anna about, you mentioned this argument that export from Ukraine to EU are also beneficial for EU market. And the question is why and which arguments should Ukrainian entrepreneurs and the government use to solve all these current trade conflicts?
Yes, sure. Why beneficial? Because now we use seaports of different European countries, and that is their profit. I mean, when Ukrainian companies use another seaport, they pay for such services for another state. Also, if we talk about Ukrainian investors who have already relocated their businesses and have already created working places in such countries, and it's like naturally that our Ukrainian companies deal through local partners in that countries, but also like using their investment instruments in that countries, and they try to scale their activities. So that is additional taxes to their budget of that countries. What else can be like an argument for why it's beneficial to cooperate with Ukraine? Also, the question of prices, the question of resources, because Ukraine have like sometimes unique export items. For example, for me personally, I didn't know about neon gas. Ukraine responsible for 50% of export of neon gas that is needed to produce micro schemes. That is also sometimes issue why it's beneficial to work with Ukraine, because that is resources. And nowadays we try to create this, our expert try to create analytical material with all the arguments and marketing research, how it works. And it should be presented as soon as possible. And so can I mention about our Ukrainians? Unfortunately for us, that is a problem. The previous panel session was about our Ukrainian refugees, and for us that is a problem because we need our people to get back. And it's our homework how to create such opportunities and environment for them, how to create such working places. I think it will be one of the biggest problem in Ukraine, labor and human resources, because I think this topic it's more nowadays beneficial for European countries, because our Ukrainians are really adaptive and hardworking. Probably we should do some homework and create the agenda how to return our Ukrainians.
Okay, thank you. So we have still a couple of minutes, so are there any other questions? So yeah, so if there are no other questions from the audience, so I would like to thank our speakers and for discussion.